Welcome to Dolphin Tank, a session empowering the change makers of today. 5 extraordinary ink fellows take center stage, presenting their world-shifting ideas. 4 powerful dolphins stand ready to challenge, champion, and catapult their visions to the next level. Can they make a splash? Let's find out in Dolphin Tank, powered by Ink Global Foundation.
So in 2019, after completion of my Master of Commerce, I joined an NBFC bank. And in front of my bank, a labor chalk was there. So daily walking to the work, I was seeing approx 200 plus people are coming. They are standing for the work and only 40% are able to get the job till afternoon. And rest of the people get back to home without getting the job. And in March 2020, government announced the COVID lockdown. So all the people started get back to home because they were not allowed to stand on the labor job. And that day I decided to build the online job platform for them. That is Digital Labor Chowk. Digital Labor Chowk is the India first technology-driven virtual labor chowk for the daily wage worker. It helped the daily wage worker to connect with the job. Today, my mission is to replace the pan-India physical labor chowk with the digital labor chowk. Any worker can download our application from the Play Store. They can choose the language and start to find the job. Also, with the help of AI and ML, we are developing the automatic resume creation so that we can connect the worker with the best job, and on the base of efficiency and effectiveness of worker, we connect them with the social security, Pradhan Mantri Yojana, Atal Yojana and labor cards. Any customer can download our application, post the job and start to hire the worker into the Pan India. And we make sure whenever any customer is posting the job, so worker must get the minimum wages amount which is decided by the state. We also have a skill development platform. That name is Digital Labor Chowk Pathsala. It is a skill-wise course content for the worker. Any worker can access all the content, learn new skill, and start to earn more money. We launched our application into the March 2023. Within a 1.5 year of span, we have registered 150,000 plus worker on our platform. We have more than 3,500 plus jobs into the 27 states of the country, and monthly requirement of our platform is more than 1,000. We don't charge any single paisa from the worker. We make revenue from the jobs providers. So we have a 3 type of revenue model. It is our primary revenue model. So subscription is there. Any customer can post the job, connect with the 10 workers free of cost, and after that we ask them, if you find any value into our solution, you can purchase our subscription. We do collaborate with the multiple industry and organization. They use our platform for the awareness. We have also secondary source of revenue model, which is verification, health awareness, and skill. So my vision is to create the ecosystem for daily wage worker. I have started my journey from job platform, and into the next phase, I want to create a tracking system for the efficiency, effectiveness, and the income of the worker so that I can connect them with the banking and the social security facilities. In this round, I'm raising the $1 million. And I'm also looking for the mentorship and advisory support into the marketing, operation, and technology. And I'm open to collaborate with the RERA, CREDI, Builder Association, national government, and the state government. I can't stop the train which is full of the people for the work, but I can help them to provide the destination where they can go directly to get the work. Because the only difference between you and the daily wage worker is, first we get the job, after that we migrate. And they first migrate, and after that they start to find a job. So I'm looking for your support. Thank you so much.
I think it's a great idea, Chandrashekhar. So gig workers and especially blue-collar community platforms are becoming very popular. There are many out there already, so I want you to kind of take a good look at your competitive landscape. But that said, it's a very large opportunity. Second thing is, I think you should go deep into few industries, because you look at there are 3 components. Technology is one part, the worker, gig worker is the other part, and the third is the employer.
Right.
So getting employer is going to be the most difficult part for you, right? So if you build the technology, and I think if you can get a supply of gig workers in a couple of verticals in a particular location, I think that's your recipe for success. So I would recommend that you should go and pitch to the impact funds. And if you focus on a particular region and few industries, you will see a lot more success there.
We already working with the L&T,
Sure.
Sobha and Godrej. So they reached out to me for the workers. So we have a lot of demand from the industry, but somewhere we are facing challenges into reaching to the people like rapidly.
Your problem with supply right now, or is it with demand?
So actually we started to gather the worker first. Once we gather the worker, so all the vendors who are supplying the laborers to the L&T, they come. And now when we reach to the 3,000 plus vendor, so L&T come to us and they said ki we use your platform to connect with the vendors. Today, sir, we have a demand of more than 1 lakh workers every month, and only 70% workers are applying.
So the supply issue is because, are there other alternatives that people prefer? Because let me tell you where I'm coming from, right? A lot of our work is with platform gig economy workers, so ride hail, personal services, etc. And the stickiness to platform is range of multiple factors. There's fundamentally trust, like Shantanu said. There is the availability of other services. There's an aspirational quality. So one part is to, of course, inquire what is it that is holding back people from participating from the worker side. One of the challenges we've encountered is that working conditions are a big concern. So you've done the matching. Matching is not the only problem in the context. And my PhD was with construction workers. So I deeply resonate with what you're trying to build. But some part of the problem is also working conditions, which are quite horrible in very many construction contexts. So that's one way to think about it. The other is that very many of them are former construction workers who moved into ride hail in the city. Delivery, etc., etc. And the reason they do so is because of aspirations or because they think it will enable them to access other financial services, not just social welfare, but also like loans, participation, mutual funds, like literally everything. Because being banked is not the problem anymore. There's 10,000 crore sitting unused in the Board of Construction Workers. I don't know if there's a way to unlock that, but that again is something to think about. But on my part, happy to make a few introductions to the Karnataka government on the labor side. Azim Premji University, NYAI, I don't know if you've ever heard about them, NYAI, is also building a chatbot to help on the social welfare side. So they might all be things that are relevant to you. But I do think is like, why are they not sticking? What is the competitive landscape that workers are aspiring?
Actually, for the trust part, yes, earlier we were facing the problem, but recently we collaborated with the Bihar government. And we are only targeting the Bihar market into the labor. So now the challenge is solved. Also into the other social security and the banking part, yes, we collaborated with the NSDC. They have a financial service. L&T has a financial services. And also there is so many NGOs, they have collaborated with us. They are providing the social securities to the workers. So on these challenges we are working, and the one thing which we make sure once worker is coming, he is getting the job from our platform. And we are very happy the day by day we are improving, and worker is leaving us when he is getting the job through our platform. Because our retention ratio into this market is 34% for the 60 day, and after 60 days if he is getting the job, it reduced to the 21%.
Sure. Let's take it offline, Chandrashekhar.
But
Thank you.
fantastic work, by the way.
When I was 9 years old, going to school every morning at 7 a.m., I had these two best friends who would come with oil stain marks and belt slashes on their back. And every morning while walking to school, we used to discuss about the violence that they go through every single day at home. All three of us needed some source to speak about this issue. What we headed to was hip-hop, because at that time when Bluetooth sharing was the only thing accessible to us and the internet on cyber cafe, we used to sneak out of school to listen to so many stories that hip-hop artists connected with us, and the exchange was something that was the escape from all this trauma. I believe that hip-hop heals and creates a systematic change. It creates an environment for positive change amongst each other to create a harmony between growing individuals. And that's when I got my love of my life called Wild Wild Women. We were women from different parts of Bombay coming together, dealing with different types of traumas, expressing it in one vulnerable space. We have so far done more than 750 shows across the country and impacted more women than 30,000. We have done workshops, and we had these one-to-one vulnerable spaces that we created for expression and creating of poetry and speaking your mind out. I had this question that, okay, we have access in the city with music. What happens in the rest of the country? So I filled my rucksack with my equipment and went to 40 places across India to find out what the situation was. I realized that in some regions, women were not even allowed to touch instruments, and that was concerning to me. And that's when the idea of Sound of Women came into existence. We reach out to them through a very interesting medium, which is the bus, where Ink Fellow Anurag has created a bus into a recording studio. So we take that bus to these regions. We collaborate with urban artists and the women in those regions. We create an album together. We then have workshops where we enable them with tech and give them resources like equipments that they require to make music. And then we create a whole season of festival with lineup for women. So that's the whole circuit of how an independent artist can be established into for a longer run. Because what generally happens is we have tons of artists, but we don't have platforms to showcase the art. I think we need resources for 3 years, where I'm planning to do an education model where we can learn a lot of software, because there is also the stereotype that women don't know tech. So I want to enable them with tech in the space of software learning and audio engineering. The second part of it is creating festivals year-long, every month, so that we can have rotating lineups from across different regions. Let's measure the progress of our nation with the degree of progress our women can make. So yeah, thank you.
First of all, just a few thoughts. There is a very natural desire to see impact as only scale. And sometimes the depth of the work that you're doing with a few women is meaningful. And so what I would advise is to always consider that balance between how deep am I going, how am I able to inform the lives of, because they themselves can be change makers. So what you're doing is creating those agents of change rather than trying to, I don't know, attain large numbers that seem very attractive.
Right.
So that's the first. The second is in terms of the help that I could potentially offer is, there are of course social initiatives that happen here, several platforms that I'm connected with from the lens of being spaces, so happy to make those introductions.
How do you ensure continuity? I mean, once you go there and collect people, perform, and kind of take them through this life cycle of change, once you leave, how do you know that they're on track?
So the idea is to establish them as independent artists, because these people are already artists. They are folk artists who have, left art because they are like, I can't die hungry. It's just repumping the idea that artists can survive for long and creating that circuit that we give you shows. And that is the cycle that connects them. That if you create, say, for example, 10 songs in 3 months, you are going to get a show for 45 minutes. And that's going to empower your cycle to keep creating more and more music. I think building platforms in the parallel while they create music is the balance that we need.
The thing that came to mind listening to your pitch is, 30, 40, 50 years ago, I think it was, that a person came up with this idea of a thing called Spikmeke. Spikmeke was essentially an attempt to bring classical music, which was dying. In the eyes of young people, it didn't have any significance. It was brought back to colleges in a huge way from the 1990s till now, right? I'm sure many of you here are aware of Spikmeke and active part of it. I suggest you read up about Spikmeke's founding. It gave all the classical musicians a platform and just worked on college campuses, right? They took the college auditoriums, built a national calendar year long. Right. And many famous artists performed to create a platform for younger artists, unknown artists, to perform with them. Oh. And that's how it kind of became sort of you take the famous people, singers, and pair them up with younger ones or less known ones. Yeah. And that's how it builds. And I think it's been highly successful. So just a thought for you, a model that exists.
I absolutely loved all of it. And I work in the film industry in the South, so South Indian languages, and I think if you'd like to bring this to Madras, we'd love to talk about it and do something. I think there is space for it, you know. And I'm always looking to, you know, include more women in all that I do, and I would love to take this conversation further. So we'll connect.
Yes.
And I think there's definitely space in Chennai for the kind of work you're looking to do, and in and around Tamil Nadu.
Thank you so much.
Well done.
Thank
See,
you.
this is what the Ink Fellows do for each other.
Like most kids, I was fascinated by airplanes as I grew up, and I always wanted to become an aeronautical engineer. And I must say, I became an aeronautical engineer and a very successful one. I realized that I got more and more leadership opportunities coming in my way, and I felt the need to take a break and equip myself and come back as a better leader so that I could do justice to my job. And that's how I chose to take a break and went on to do a fellowship program called as Endiya Fellowship. And I got introduced to this organization called CHIRAG, based out of Uttarakhand. That's how my association with development sector began. And when I went there, I saw kids walking like this. And I realized that the age when I was dreaming about becoming an aeronautical engineer, so the kids had no time to dream because they were fetching water. It was an awakening moment for me because water being fundamental, yet many people did not have access to it. The lack of water extends beyond just not having it enough for our domestic use because it puts a lot of other pressure to the people who are dependent on it. We all, as a leisure, might have gone to Himalayas or the mountainous areas for doing a trek. And we know how exerting it is. So imagine a woman carrying around 40 liters of water and equivalent weight every day as her routine. One of the interesting things that caught my notice is that a condition of prolapsed uterus among women who have attained, say, 40 to 45 age is very common. About 60% of women undergo this condition, medical complication. There are a lot of other implications that go beyond just mere availability of water. Basically, what we do as a part of reviving these water bodies is that in a regular place, it's very easy. It's relatively easy to understand how the groundwater behaves. There's a rainfall that seeps in and forms the groundwater table, which we extract in various ways. Whereas when you come to Himalayas, it's quite complex. It varies from region to region. These complexities are what we try to study based on our hydrogeological investigations, which are elaborate field-based investigations as well as interaction with the community, and then devise a certain plan which can collect the rainfall or precipitation in any form, be it snow or any other form, and put it under the ground to recharge the groundwater systems. And that's how we have been reviving the spring waters. And so far, I would say, as an organization, we have been successful in reviving 715 springs, and which would enable that each year we have around 260 million liters of additional water available for the communities. It is equivalent to around 53,000 water tankers of this nature that can fill up about 106 Olympic-sized water swimming pools each year because of the enhanced discharge levels from the springs. The problem of water is a collective problem. And there should not be a competition in addressing the problem, and that's how we also favor the collaboration. I call for any kind of collaborations we can connect, be it volunteering, any advice, or any kind of capacity. We would be very happy to collaborate with this. Thank you very much.
Just a quick question. I think you mentioned technology. Could you talk a little bit about the investments you've already made and what you're looking to do?
We have explored different technologies like using LIDAR systems and different kinds of systems to identify where the spring location is, what is its characteristics. You cannot, unless you go physically to a particular site or look at a spring, you cannot do any kind of intervention or any kind of judgment. And I think that's where the technology can come in.
First of all, Abhishek, fantastic, really incredible commitment, transitioning from a corporate sector to a sustainability professional. I know it's not an easy decision, and I compliment you for it. Couple of quick things. I know some companies, 2 companies, which do work in CSR in water resource management. They work on urban lakes. I'll work with you to convince them to see if they can help you to some extent, as much as they can. I have 2 specific observations and questions. There's the scale problem that you mentioned that will take tens of thousands, 40,000 years, I think you mentioned. And then you talked about 3,000 professionals. Is there a way to make this a completely parallel, concurrent, across the Himalayas effort without having to centralize this problem, right? Can we decentralize this into water entrepreneurs? You talked about water scientists. Can we have water entrepreneurs who can actually generate livelihood through this? Is there a way of doing that?
Of course, there's a way. And by training 3,000 professionals, we mean that we are trying to create those kind of entrepreneurs itself. And maybe even if say 1% gets translated, then we have larger such kind of satellite centers, I would say, who can scale it up even further. So of course, yes, there is a possibility. We saw that the communities whom we trained this aspect, so they are solving the problems of other villages where we did not intervene. So they are charging nominal amounts, 600 rupees per day, for doing the hydrological assessment and telling them that look, here is your recharge area that you need to do something about. So I think those kind of sustainability is what we desire for. And of course, water entrepreneurs can be, we call them as entrepreneurs because they are finding ways of linking it to their livelihoods and also addressing the problem at scale.
On the question of getting data from the community on, so that's one thing that I can definitely work with you on in terms of the community data gathering process, etc. The other is, I don't know if you've ever connected with this organization called Arghyam, which has been working in this, and they might be, again, quite supportive in thinking, and I'm happy to enable that relationship.
My only guidance is if your impact measurement is accurate, you need to scale this fast. You need to leverage technology. I think you need to scale the capacity. You're saying that funding is not an issue. I know there are a lot of CSR programs from corporates. That's an area I'm happy to connect you with more people. But I think they look for very clear kind of tangible results, right? And how fast can you grow? So that's going to be like, I agree with Shantanu in terms of spreading your wings as long as your initial pilots are showing you the real impact.